After reopening on Monday, today Governor Wes Moore, along with local, state and federal officials, made the milestone official, thanking first responders and crews who worked tirelessly for weeks to make this possible.
It's been a long process, and Fox 45's Jessica Babb was at that news conference today and joins us live to tell us what comes next. Jessica.
So now that the cleanup has finished, the focus now really is on rebuilding the bridge, and state officials have already started that process. They're accepting proposals now as we speak. They should have a design team picked later this summer, and the bridge could be completed in 2028. And Governor Wes Moore says this is something he's working toward right now. Right now, he's working to make sure federal legislation will get passed in Washington to make sure there's funding to cover the full cost of rebuilding the bridge. In the meantime, with 50,000 tons of wreckage removed from the water and the channel now clear, more people are getting back to work. Governor Moore and Pete Buttigieg met with some of the longshoremen and port workers who were impacted. Through this cleanup, Governor Moore says $37 million of relief for businesses and workers was approved, and thousands of jobs were protected.
And many said it would take multiple months for us to get to this point. Some said even up to a year. Well, Maryland, this team did the unimaginable by many. And instead of 11 months, we got this thing done in 11 weeks.
Jonathan Daniels, the director of the Maryland Port Administration, says a lot of the port's cargo has now returned, but there's still a bit of lag in some of the imports that were redirected. And while it's not clear how much money the port lost, Daniels said it could take months to recover, but already says they're seeing promising signs.
Many of the terminal operators were handling as much cargo in the final 2 weeks of May as they typically would do in an entire month. So it's great to be able to see that.
And even with this exciting news today, state officials as well as the governor made sure to remember the 6 lives that were lost.
Yeah, no one can forget about those families, indeed, Jessica. You also mentioned federal legislation to help cover the costs of rebuilding the Key Bridge. Do we know where that stands? I know there's been a lot of lobbying by the governor and Maryland's federal delegation for that.
Yeah, so right now that legislation still hasn't passed. If it doesn't pass, then Maryland will be responsible for paying a portion of the rebuilding costs, which is still a pretty significant portion when we think that this bridge could be almost $2 billion. I asked the governor about that today and if he's planning and ready for Maryland to cover that cost, but he says his focus right now is making sure that legislation passes. Live in Dundalk, Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.